people who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
What we're living in right now is not an advanced society. It is fascism. What we have, what we're evolving into as well.
And that means get rid of the Electoral College.
There being no helium for comedians to get that high-pitched voice.
If we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020.
But often his handsiness and comments are likened to those of a crazy but lovable uncle. But as they veer toward the more bizarre variety, it's raising questions about appropriate behavior for someone eyeing the White House.
That walls do not save lives. Walls end lives.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
What happens when you put in a cage fight a giant in with a midget?
And to get hot, I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
The use of the midget, the use of the M word is no longer socially acceptable.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
And then she went on to say that she was going to get inaugurated on the 3rd and then start signing bills on the 4th. You don't get inaugurated and you don't sign bills. Only the president will sign the bills.
Well, the midget will not win the fight, I'm going to tell you that.
A man who will be the next president of the United States, Barack America.
When I talk about health care being a human right, last time I heard that undocumented people are human beings as well.
It's clearly not a broad consensus of the American people. You're overturning the result of a national election, and there's no doubt that it will be perceived by at least half of the American people as an unfair and partisan effort.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be hopping on here, Senator Sanders' account, and we're here in Kansas City to rally for Brent Welder. We're gonna flip this seat red in November.
These are my family stories. My papa had high cheekbones, like all of the Indians do.
When we bring the bill, which is, just so you know, there's a bill.
I am not the expert on geopolitics on this issue. You used the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that?
Now, the M word refers to a group of people, the little people.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
If you put 30 midgets in with that giant, then the midgets have a chance.
There are ICE raids set to start, estimates of some 2,000 people or so who will be targeted. Is this appropriate?
No, it's not. It is absolutely not.
But specifically on this point, the 2,000 that are supposed to be targeted haven't shown up for court dates. Essentially, they're not following the asylum process, the legal standards when they're here. So should they be prosecuted? Should they be deported?
I don't like this deportation thing at all. And
Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Time in order to send it over to the Senate and to have the provisions in there to pay for the impeachment, and then the next step, whatever you want to call it.
It happens to be, as Barack says, a 3-letter word: jobs. J-O-B-S. Jobs.
If somebody commits a serious crime, sexual assault, murder, they're going to be punished. But I think the right to vote is inherent to our democracy. Yes, even for terrible people.
Vice President Biden, I believe you said that your health care plan would not cover undocumented immigrants. Could you explain your position?
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon.
I believe at the show of hands, you did not raise your hand. Did you raise your hand?
No, I did.
Okay, sorry. So you said they would be covered under your plan, which is different than Obamacare.
Yes, but here's the thing.
Can you explain that change?
Yes. You cannot let, as the mayor said, you cannot let people who are sick, no matter where they come from, no matter what their status, go uncovered. You can't do that. It's just going to be taken care of, period. You have to.
So it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
My fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
We don't anticipate that.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And, this is the war. This is our World War II.
Because some of those jobs of the past are just not going to come back. And when somebody says, like the person you just mentioned, who I'm not going to advertise for, that he's going to bring all these jobs back. Well, how exactly are you going to do that? What are you going to do? There's no answer to it. He just says, well, I'm going to negotiate a better deal. Well, how exactly are you going to negotiate that? What magic wand do you have? And usually the answer is, he doesn't have an answer.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week